Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this great big universe. My name is Helena, and thank you so much for joining me again for another episode of Love Unlocked, where we decode the mysteries of the universe together. So today, back by popular demand, we have the beloved and esteemed physicist and writer for Quora, Desmond. And make sure that you watch to the end of the video so that you can find out what is going on with this cosmic love and what is the science behind it. Hi, Desmond. Thank you so much for being here with us. How are you today?
Hi,
Well, thank you so much for being here, Desmond.
you're welcome.
And I was just letting the viewers know that today we're going to talk about a little bit about parallel dimensions and
Yes.
alternate dimensions. Could you give the viewers a brief synopsis of what that means?
Okay. Well, everybody knows the terminology that we tend to use with spiritual stuff, which is that we're moving from a lower dimension to a higher dimension. And they usually do things like saying 3D, 4D, 5D. I think that's actually a bit of a misnomer because while we're elevating in our vibrations, shall we say, our resonant frequency, we're not actually changing from a 3D world to anything else. We're still in a 3D world. Our bodies are 3D. Everything we do is 3D. All we're doing is we're vibrating faster. All right. Now, there is the concept in physics of parallel dimensions, not dimensions, parallel universes. The idea is that they're actually right next door to us, side by side. We don't have to go anywhere, next to outside of the universe we're in. We just shift slightly along another dimension. And I think that's where the idea of dimensions comes in. You go to a higher dimension by shifting up a notch, if you like, on a dimension we can't see. Does that make sense?
It does. And the last time we had a conversation about parallel dimensions, I stupidly compared it to a burrito, but Desmond gave a much better example. Do you want to share that with the viewers real quick?
Well, you're talking about the ant. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Within our 3D universe, we only see three dimensions, but actually we see four because time is one of them. But we only could move in three. So we see three dimensions, but there's all this theory that is necessary to allow for things called strings. And strings are little loops of energy. We don't see them as loops of energy. We see them as particles, point particles. The idea is that they're actually loops of energy that are looping in another dimension. And it's theorized, right? I have to say it's theorized. It's theorized that there are at least another 6 dimensions, right? We know of 3, and the other 2 for each one of those 3 are wrapped around each one of those. So if you could imagine, you see an ant crawling along a bit of wire or something. The wire from a distance looks like just a line, and the ant is crawling along that line. But as you get close to it, you can see that the ant could actually go around the line. So the line isn't a line anymore, it's a cylinder. Right? So that's sort of the way they think that these other dimensions wrap around the ones that we see.
Now,
But that's the
you
that's
said
the
six
dimensions.
dimensions, though? There's only 6?
Well, a 9,
9. Okay.
three plus those 6. But
Okay.
no, but It gets worse. It's theorized that, in fact, there may be as many as maybe 20.
That's a
We
lot.
just, yeah, but I don't know how they justify having that many. I think it's more a matter of, it's not a matter of justification. It's more a matter of they figure it has to be that many to make things work. That's the way dimensional discussions work in physics. It's more a matter of they can't figure out why it works. They only know it has to be that in order for it to work.
So
That's
if I wanted to go to another dimension, though, is that possible?
Well, here's the point. Forgetting all about those extra 6 or the 20 or whatever, parallel universes are in another dimension again, right? If you think of a space here, and then you've got another dimension that's at supposedly 90 degrees to all of the others that we know, and you move a little bit along that space, along that dimension, you would disappear from this space. People call it a dimension, but it's a space. We disappear from there and reappear there. Now, I think it's possible, just sort of working from what we know happens with spiritual stuff. We know that people resonate, things resonate, the earth resonates, and that brings in human resonance, which is another thing again. But we know that people resonate, and the spaces they're in resonate. But if you resonate on a higher level, then that means potentially you can resonate into a different space that resonates on that level. Now, imagine you're on a path, right, or in a tube or whatever, and you come up to an intersection. You're vibrating, right? Say you're vibrating, or maybe you're a particle that's vibrating, and you reach an intersection between two paths, one of which is vibrating at a lower level, and the other is vibrating at a higher level. Okay, you've been vibrating at this level for a while, and you're walking along the path, and this path is really just the path that you've been on, but there's another diverging path that is at a higher vibration, right? Now, if you are vibrating out of kilter with the path that you're on, you're not going to be comfortable there. You're going to tend to be bouncing around, okay? And you reach this intersection. You reach the path that is just a continuation of what you're currently doing, and you're bouncing around, and it's going to be hard to keep going along that path. Or you could go along this path, which vibrates at your level, which is a higher vibration, right? You're not going to be bouncing around, are you? You're going to be bouncing off this one, but not off that one. So you're going to go into that one. So my take on the whole ascension thing is that we're vibrating higher and bouncing around, uncomfortable with where we are. We reach the opportunity to go into a higher vibration, a higher level, right? An ascended path, if you like. Maybe the whole earth is ascending. There is that. People do say that the whole earth is actually ascending. So that's the way we go that way, is we keep our thoughts elevated. We stay positive. We stay in love and care, and we have to actually not allow ourselves to be pulled into the negative stuff. There's a lot of negative stuff happening now. A
Oh,
huge amount.
yes.
and people just automatically think, oh well, I've got to worry about that. It's terrible what's going on. I can't ignore that. I have to have an opinion on it. I have to involve myself in it. No, that's the way that you stop yourself from ascending, right? Every path that people take is their own path, isn't it?
It is.
Right?
And
You choose the path you take.
I think you just made a great point, because I think we were talking earlier about how when you share, anybody shares, not just us, but anybody shares on open forum, you're kind of putting yourself out prone to trolling, and the
Yeah.
trolls are low vibration, and so they think they don't have a wide scope, right? The sign of enlightenment is an open mind. That means you're willing to at least listen to the counsel of someone else, hear out someone else's perspective. And so you don't have to agree with it, but if a troll sees something that they don't agree with, automatically, boom, they are speaking negativity, throwing shade, talking smack. And I look at that and I think to myself, man, that is low vibrational. Like, all you have to do is scroll on by and
Yes.
so
I actually think, what are you here for? if you don't
it,
if you don't agree with all this, why are you here? What are you
exactly.
reading my answers for instance,
Exactly. And although not a lot of people disagree with Desmond's writing on Quora, he mentioned that there was a couple of people who made some snarky comments. And that, to me, is a sign of the lower vibration. Is that true? The lower vibration?
Oh, I'd say so, yes. Um, People can disagree with you. There's nothing that says they can't disagree with you. It's the way they disagree with you.
Ah,
It's the snarkiness, if you like.
yeah.
When people don't like when people don't like what you're saying, that's a sign that they're not open to what you're saying. Obviously, they're not open-minded, but they're also looking for trouble, I suppose.
Yeah, looking for attention, trying to. I get the impression that some of those people are so carrying just so much hate in them that wherever they go, it just kind of oozes out,
Yeah,
wherever they're
yeah.
at, which is sad.
Well, there are people who don't. There's lots of different versions of the twin flame thing. There are people who honestly believe twin flames are supposed to be together, from the moment they meet and never apart, and all this sort of stuff. And there are some twin flames that do that, right? If they don't have any triggering, then it's wonderful. If there's no social issues, if everything just works, that's fine. But most twin flames, that's not the way it is. There's triggering, there's social issues, there's separation, there can be some really nasty stuff. And the best thing to do in those situations is not to pursue it, because that's chasing, and that'll only make them run more.
Now, how does that affect our vibration? Any chasing, like let's say that we were engaging in, I guess what they call unwanted pursuit behavior, or
Well, that's negative.
arguing with somebody. How does that affect our
negative.
vibration?
Well, that's negative. It's not good for them, because they just want you gone, and it's not good for you because you're not accepting something that has to be. You have to just accept they do not want you in their lives right now. That may change, but right now it's negative to keep pushing for something that's not wanted. The much more positive way to deal with any of that sort of thing is what I always write: acceptance and surrender. How many times have you seen that? It's
100,000,001.
exactly. Acceptance and surrender means you accept what they're doing, you accept their position on it, you surrender to that. And it's actually more, it's not a verb, it's a state of being. It's not that you surrender to it, you accept it, but you are surrendered to it, meaning calm blue ocean. You just, it doesn't matter anymore. You understand that it has to be this way, and you focus on yourself and your own spiritual advancement. Once you've had your DNOTs, Dark Night of the Soul, for those that don't know what that is, once you've had that, and the really deepest one that really gets to you, breaks you down. You're sitting there for ages, just can't do anything, don't want to do anything, right? Once you've had that and you start rebuilding yourself, it's upwards from there, right? And generally speaking, the point at which you have your DNOTs is the point at which you accept and surrender, right? That's the point at which you start to, it may happen the other way around. You may accept and surrender and then it hits you or whatever, right? But it's from that point on, you are just going up and up and up and up. And no longer do you allow the negative stuff in.
So you're vibrating at that higher level then?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. That's the point. That's the point. It's all about your perception of everything. Okay. And your heart, but your perception changes. The same world is there. It's a bit like synchronicities, they're always there. It's when you notice them that matters.
That's true.
Right?
And
there's
synchronicities everywhere.
Yeah.
That I've noticed.
I see them all the time. I thought I was going mad when I first started seeing them, but I just accept them now. But it's what Ascension is. It's the world is the way it is. You see the good, you see the bad, you see the positive, the negative, right? But you don't have to see it, right? You don't have to immerse yourself in it, right? The bad I'm talking about. The good, you can look out the window and just see, on the most dismal day, you can see this wonderful world out there. And it is beautiful, right? But that's a choice.
That is
You
true.
choose.
That is a choice.
I saw, speaking of synchronicities, but this brings in what I'm talking about right now. I saw Celestine Prophecy last night. How's that for synchronicity? We're talking about all this stuff and coming up to this recording, this meeting, suddenly up pops Celestine Prophecy, the movie. I read
that's a movie about
ages
people that discover the journey is within themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a modern day parable, spiritual parable. And I mean, it clicks so obviously with what we're talking about, because in Celestine Prophecy, you've got people who are raising their level of vibration, and they're not being seen by the lower level people. They can see the lower level people, but they're not being seen because they're out of that vibration. And the higher you get, the more you see of the higher vibration world that's around you. So, I mean, the reason I was talking about Celestine Prophecy, the reason that came into my head is that when you look out the window, you can look at anything and see the energy in it, and it brightens as you watch it. And that's also a good way to determine the right path. If you've got a number of different paths to choose from, you choose the path that feels best, right? Sometimes it'll be a visual thing. It will actually look brighter to you, or it might just feel good. So you take that path, and that's your subconscious saying, take this path, right? It's all your subconscious, which is your soul, influencing your your thoughts and
Is
feelings.
it true that when we start, sorry, Kitty, when we start vibrating at a higher frequency or resonance or vibration, does it become easier for us to notice synchronicities and things like that?
Oh,
when
I think
we're
so.
vibrating?
Oh, yes, very much so. I can only speak for myself, but the more I've accepted the path I'm on, the more I've accepted the fact there are synchronicities that I see and feel and have, the more I see them. Now, I suppose it's possible for people to say, well, you just get it, it's habitual. Well, I certainly understand that concept. But if you imagine that the source of those synchronicities is your subconscious mind, right? The soul behind you, or the soul around you, actually. And that you're seeing those synchronicities because your subconscious mind is alerting you to them. Then it just becomes a fait accompli. It's just, why would it be anything else, So yes, as you vibrations increase, as you ascend, and the ascension just keeps going. You just keep on going higher and higher. I've probably only just started, really. And most of us probably have only just started. But the more you ascend, the more you accept these things, the more they happen. Right? Because if you ignore them, or you try to convince yourself, no, they're not there. Right? I'm a scientist. I was trained in physics. And for me, the idea that there is this other world that has rules like that you have to actually believe to see, as opposed to see to believe, right? The idea that sort of thing exists was just so foreign to me, right? But over time, I saw things which my scientific mind said, well, this is clearly happening. Why is it happening? Right? And that's when I started exploring
That's when you
reasons.
started digging and researching
Yes.
and finding all the information that you have and sharing it with other people too. I will
Yeah.
link Desmond's profile on Quora down below in the description of this video so that the viewers can receive his amazing wisdom and be able to put that to their highest good. Now,
Well,
I have
my
a
amazing
question.
wisdom comes from a lot of other people. It's not just me. I just collate it.
Listen to how
Right?
humble this man is. So I have a question.
Yes.
If, as we're vibrating, I'm assuming that we all vibrate maybe at similar, but not necessarily the exact same frequencies or levels. When we're going through life, how would we detect a parallel universe? Is there a way to detect it?
No.
No?
I would say no. You will feel it perhaps, but remember my analogy of the tunnel or the path or whatever, and it splits, right? You
Yep.
won't know about the parallel universe until you go down that path. That's when you will detect it.
Ah,
You won't detect it while you're on this path, right? You'll detect it because you'll suddenly go down this path and, wow, what happened? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I was very negative in my own mind with respect to things like finances and where the world's going and that sort of stuff, and obviously it's real issues,
yep.
right? um, I suddenly one day realized I'm in another path. I'm seeing a different world from the one that I used to see. I used to be weighed down by all the negativity and be worried and You know, this was while I'm doing my chorus stuff, by the way. It's not that long ago. But in a matter of only probably the last few months, maybe, I've actually found myself feeling much more positive. And I know that that was a choice. It's my intuition telling me. Now, one of the things about intuition is that it's killed by fear. Right? If you want your intuition to work for you, one of the things, it's a bit like Ascension and spirituality. You've got to accept it. You can't question it. It will work if you accept it and don't question. And sort of questioning it is fearing that it won't work. So if you just push fear and doubt and all those sorts of things away from you and just accept that how you feel, what your intuition is telling you, what your subconscious is telling you, because that's where the intuition comes from, then you will just have it flow. It will just flow through you. And everything you do then will be intuitively guided. So
who's guiding us? Is it God?
well,
Is it divine
no,
spirit of
no.
energy? Is
Well,
divine spirit of energy?
okay.
Listen to me. What
this
guides
is
us?
this is where the God argument comes in. We're all God. That's the basic thing, right? We are all part of God. We're all part of the universe. Everything in the universe is part of the universe. We're all part of that. If you like, you could think of ourselves as being subdivisions of the universal consciousness.
Like a spark of God, like that?
Yeah, something like that, yes. A lot of people, mainly into the various hard religions, want to subdivide the functions, if you like, into different entities that have names. Like the good part is God, the bad part is the devil. The part that made it all is the creator, right? But in reality, we're all part of the one thing. All of those names for things are all just the one thing. Now, they're 3D names too, right? We come here to 3D to experience black and white, good and evil, right and wrong, right? We experience those only by coming here into 3D, because where we come from doesn't have all that. We just are, right? So to experience good, right, and happiness and wonderful stuff, we have to experience bad and unhappiness and really dismal stuff. It's the contrast between them that grows our souls.
You're
Right?
learning.
So we're learning. That's what we're here for.
That makes
No
sense.
other reason. No other reason, actually. It's just to learn. That's the only reason we're here. To experience. I mean, if you were a soul that's basically impotent, no, not impotent, what's the word? No, it's not. No, omnipotent. That's the word.
Omnipotent. Okay. We'll get a YouTube strike. He said the word impotent.
No, omnipotent. If you were an omnipotent being that could do anything it wanted, wouldn't you want to experience something? It's like,
Yes.
you're
I would
working.
want to experience everything to take the learning and then take the learning back I guess, to
Yeah,
God.
that's the whole point. It's all about expansion of the souls, growth of the souls, ascension of the souls, right? Coming here and working through what we do here in 3D is about ascension. It's about growth, right? And we have our good and our bad times here in 3D, and none of it matters. Absolutely none of it matters, even though it feels like it does at the time.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Right? But none of it actually does. Only in as much as you learn from it. It's the only reason it matters.
And when we are in the process of ascension, I know that I'll just mention this casually because I know that we're running short on time, but Desmond and I had a conversation where we were in kind of agreement that people don't really need a school to learn how to ascend, to learn to be a person on earth necessarily. But the purpose of ascension is that, what is the purpose? Why do we ascend? What's the meaning behind it? You're on.
Well, the meaning behind that's interesting. Your lights are doing this.
Yeah, and it's funny because we have another video where Cynthia, she
Yes, I was
channels.
thinking of that.
Yeah, I was thinking about her too just now because she channels her, what she calls her mirror soul, her husband, who
Yes.
passed away, and she or he, not she, it's not her fault, it's his fault. My lights go crazy, and I noticed
I'm
that
just wondering, is he doing that now?
I don't know
Ooh,
because
weird.
I have a light over here and a light over here because it's dark out. But yeah,
But
see
it's
how it's kind of
really,
getting brighter and pulling
yeah.
in and out.
Yep.
That could be, hello, Joe. If that's you, stop messing with the lights.
Anyway, ascension. Ascension is the process of it's more a result of the process of learning
Okay.
rather than I mean, yes, we do learn from ascension, but it's more the process of learning that provides us with the ascension. Ascension is something you want, right? When you see it, you want more of it because it's a good thing, right? So I suppose from that perspective, it attracts you towards good. So if there's any purpose as such to ascension, it's the fact that it attracts you to keep going towards the good that you're doing.
Because
But
we all have a purpose here on this earth, right? All of us.
well, yes, we all have a purpose, but it's for ourselves. It's not necessarily for anybody else. You can have a purpose for somebody else, for other people, for a whole group. That's something you've chosen before you were born. But it's still for you, right? It's, yes, you're benefiting other people, but you're doing it for your own benefit. It's all about you. Every time you incarnate here in whatever life you're in, it's about what you are going to learn from it.
That makes a lot of sense. And that could be why Desmond has certainly found his place and his forte in writing. He shares some of the most profound messages on Quora. And again, I will link his profile down below in this YouTube video description for you guys so that you can read it and put it to your best use. Use it for your highest good. So the timer's about to go. So before
Yes.
that happens, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight and wherever you are, or good morning, wherever you are in this universe. Desmond, thank you so much for being here with us. And I look forward to
You're welcome.
seeing you soon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.